So in the last practice of data visualization, we are going to convert the different kind of data types like list, and then how to read the CSV file and convert that into visualize the data in the CSV file. So those kind of stuff we are going to do in this practice. So as a first practice, what we are going to do, we are going to simply create two different variable and we're going to plot it. Okay, so for this, let me open a new file. Simple plotting. Okay, simple plotting. We are just going to create a list of variable and do simple plotting. For this, let's just import the matplotlib library. For that, matplotlib dot pyplot. So just give some nickname for that as PLT so that we don't need to say matplotlib.pyplot every time. We can simply say PLT dot and matplotlib library. Okay, so we are just going to do a mapping plotting between the academic years from 2000 to 2028. In that academic year, how many students have enrolled in a particular department. Okay, so this is the problem, and we are going to create two variable, and then we are going to see the plotting. So in each academic year, how many students have enrolled? We want to see that as a graph. So first, let's create a variable to hold academic years. Academic years. That's the variable. You remember the range function that will create a variable, right, for the given two ranges. So the range is going to be 2000 to 2028. Between these two years, academic years means 4 years. Every 4 years, it's like a student won't complete academic year for a student. So we are just giving that difference as 4. So you know what the range function will do? It will just create 2000, 2004, 2008, 12, 16, 24, like that, 20, 24, 28. Okay. So 7 index. And now we are going to give number of students who have enrolled in that academic year. Number of students. And then this is going to be, we are going to give it as a list. So in 2000, 200 students have enrolled. In 2004, 170 students have enrolled. And in 2008, let's say that 150 students have enrolled. Like that, 2012, let's say 225, and then 140 students, and then 245. You can just give any number every year. And then the last year, 2028, let's say that 250 students have enrolled in the particular department. Okay. So now we want to see how it will look like in a plot. How can we do that? We have to call the object. How we have saved the object? As PLT. So just call PLT as an object. PLT. So that will just import. That will give us an option to include all the functions that belongs to the matplotlib library. So we can simply call the PLT, and there we are going to simply call a plot function. We can do any kind of plotting. Now we just want to do a simple plotting. What we want to plot? We want to plot these two variables. So just first give this as a first parameter, academic years, and then the number of students are going to be the y-axis. So X and Y-axis values will be taken from these two variables. And how we want to do the plotting? We can just give any, if you remember, I have given it in Zybook. If you have done your reading in Zybook, you might have been familiar with these things. Like, what are the different plotting color? If you say B, then the plotting color will be blue. G means green, R means red. So like that, the plotting color can be recognized by this letters, characters, and then how you want to do the plotting. The symbols, okay? The symbols can be denoted like this. If you give this 0, then it be a circle mark. So the symbols and the color values, you might have done the reading in Zybook. So we're going to use that. Let's do the plotting of red color with the circle mark 0. Okay, so let's do that. So red color plotting, we want the red color plotting, and O means the circle, and then dash lines for the remaining plotting. So this is what we want to plot based on these two variables. And then we can do other customization in Matplotlib. So if you use the parameter line width, that will take care of the width of the plot. The line width is the parameter, will take care of the width of the plot. And then marker size will take care of that each variable when it gets plotted in the graph, that marking, that circle size, you can just mark it like marker size as a 5. And then if you remember the transparency of the color, if you bring the transparency in the red color, you can just use the parameter alpha. So alpha 0.5 means the middle transparency in the plotting value. So now everything will be there as will be plotted. If you want to see the plot, then you have to simply call the show function that will show you the plot. You can see the plot. So in 2000, you can see 200 students. In 2018, you can see there are 250 students. And in 2018, you can see there are less than 140. I think 140 students. Okay, so this is how we plotted the given variable. So the next question is, read the sales data.csv file and plot the monthly based profits. Okay, so let me first read that sales data CSV file. So you can see this is the sales data CSV file, and we are going to plot the monthly profit. Monthly profit. Where is the monthly profit? This column. The total profit is the monthly profit. And what is this? This is each month from first month to 12 months. So 12 months, and this is the 12 month of profit. And simply we are going to plot this against this. That's it. The only thing that you're learning in this practice is how to read the CSV file and do the plotting. That is the new thing that you're learning. Okay, so let's do that. So if you have that in your in your file, the sales CSV file, then you can start writing the code to read the file. Okay, for this we need pandas. So import pandas as some nickname, and then import. You have already imported, but I'm just giving you some. You can import it for the cell once again. You can just leave it because you have already imported it. Okay, now we are going to create a data frame, a variable, just a variable. And using the pandas, we are going to read the CSV. The pandas has a function called read CSV function. To access the read CSV function, first we have to import the pandas. So import the pandas dot read underscore CSV. This is the function that belongs to pandas module. And what we want to read, we want to read that whatever you have downloaded, how you have named, I have named it as sales underscore data dot CSV file. So just give the CSV file name. That will just read the CSV file. Now we are going to create a variable to hold that first column, which is the month, and the last column, which is the profit. So first let's read the last column and save it in the variable profit list. It's a variable. And we have said that CSV file in df. So in the variable df, we want to read the last column. What is the name of the column? The name of the column is total profit. So I'm just going to copy this column name. I'm just going to copy this column name and give it here. And we want to convert that column. This all column values should be converted as list. To convert these values into list, Pandas has a function called toList. So call the toList function that will convert that column value into list. And similarly, we have our first column which has the number of months, the months. So which is nothing but an index, simple index, right? But let's just read that. Okay, we are going to read that column name here. So to avoid the typo error, I recommend you to copy it and paste it. We are going to read that and we want to convert that as list. So now we have two lists of variables. Profit list is the list which has the last column value, and month list is the list which has the first column value. And now we want to plot it. How you will call plotting? PLT. You have already imported it as PLT, and we are going to do a simple plotting. For simple plotting, you can simply call the function PLT. So PLT dot plot. PLT dot plot. What are the two things that you want to plot? Want to do the month and the total profit, which should be in x-axis. The month should be in x-axis, and the profit should be in y-axis. So if the month you want it to be in x-axis, keep this variable as x, first parameter, and the second parameter will be the y-axis. So the profit list is the second column parameter, which will be in y-axis. And then we want to give the label. If you want, you can give the label, or you can just leave it as it is. You can just give the label as like this, or you can just leave it. Even the color value, if you want to use the color parameter and say color, or even without mentioning the color, if you're simply doing it, it is smart enough to pick it. I'm just making you familiar with all these parameters and function. So color is the parameter. So if you don't want that red color, just go with the blue color or green color. What are the color values you see here? Okay, whatever you want to see. Magenta, if you want to see the magenta, then you can just say M. And the marker, if you want to use that star marker, where is the star marker? That should be a small star marker. Asterisk, yeah, here star marker, asterisk, right? We can use the star marker. Since we have used the circle before, let's use the star marker here. Okay, like that, you can use these parameters to do the plotting. And what are the other customization we can do? Here you can see there is nothing here for labeling. We can use the labeling here so that the plotting will be clear. It can speak for itself. So plot.x label is the function, will give you the x label. What is that in the x-axis? X-axis has month number. And what is that in y-axis? Y-axis has the total profit. So the function y label will give you the profits. Total profit in dollar. Total profit. Whatever you want to give in the label, you can just give the label. That is y label. And even you can just specify what should be that. So here it is randomly has taken this this markers, right? That you can just specify here. X ticks. X ticks. X coordinate. What are the ticks? You want exactly the variable values, that is 1 to 12. That you want it to be there in the x coordinate positioning. Okay. And then even you can specify the y ticks like that. Y ticks. Y ticks is the function where you want to give. For example, here you want to, instead of saying like, let's look at the CSV file and see. Profits are in the 5-digit or 6-digit. So 6-digit means it varies from 3,000, 4,000, 1,000. From 1,000 to 4,000, it has various profit value. So what we can do, 10,000, sorry, 6 digits. 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, and 500,000. Just make sure you have 6 zeros. And this is going to be the list, right? So list means you have to specify the square bracket because it is list. Okay, and then we want to give some title for this plot. What is the title? The title is some company profit per month. Company profit of the company, monthly profit of the company. Okay, monthly profit of the company. That is going to be the title. And then we want to show all the plots. Month list is not. Okay, that is a typo error here. So it seems very small. That could be because I have added extra zeros here. I think there should be only 4 zeros. I have extra zeros here. Try it with 4 zeros. It seems like, yeah. The magenta color, you can see that. Again, there is a small mistake with the white text. Let me try 5. Yeah, now it works good. So 500,000, 200,000, exactly 100,000, 200, 300,000 with that white X value. So your understanding is X ticks will specify the X labels and Y ticks will specify the Y label, and X label, Y label means the coordinate points, and the label of the title of the X coordinate, Y coordinate, and the title of the whole plotting will be in title. Also, I just want you to be familiar with these things. Okay. For Hawaii, okay, first let me look at the that's DV sample file. You can see it has different companies, and it has everyday profit values. Okay, so this is the file that we are going to analyze. And what is the question? For Hawaii, load all the column data for different periods into Python. Do not put the data manually. Based on the column data, draw bar chart with red color. Use date as x-axis and market share as y-axis. Take a screenshot of the result and paste it below. From a bar chart, when did Hawaii have the largest market share? By looking at this, you can say when Hawaii has the largest market share, but we are learning it, we are doing it using data visualization library, pandas, okay? Pandas and matplotlib. So what are the functions that we need for this? What are the functions we need? So let me first explain. We are going to use a function called read lines function. So the read lines method returns a list containing each. Let me read the. Let me go to the W3 school of the read lines method. So the read line method, what it will do, it will just read whatever CSV file or whatever file you have given and return a list containing each line in the file as a list item. So each line will be taken as list element. Okay, so the read line will read a file and take each line and put it as a list element. So that is the methodology that we are going to use to read the CSV file. That is the first thing. And the first let's do that. First, let's finish that. First, let's import matplotlib. You have imported, you don't need to do it. So we are just going to create a file handler. Yeah. And we are going to use the function open if you remember file handling, open is the function, will open the file. So the file that we are going to read is dv sample.csv. And we're going to use that read lines function, which I have explained, the read line function. We're going to use it to read the CSV file. So we are just creating a variable called lines to hold all the lines as a list element. Okay. So from the file is there in F, right? So F dot read lines. F dot read lines. So we'll read each and every line from the input file. And then we are going to create a header. What is there in the header? You can see if you read this file, the header is there in the first indexing, right? So the lines is there in each column. Lines, we are saving all those things in the variable called lines. So we can simply say that the headers are nothing but in the lines variable of 0 index, which is the first row. First row is going to be the header because we are only interested in Hawaii. So Hawaii is there 0, 1, 2 in the third column. Okay, so we are going to pick this column indexing value. To do the indexing value, we are going to automate this. So we're going to use a function called strip function. What is the strip function? What it will do? Okay, so if you do a Google search, strip function in Python, so what the strip function will do, it will return a copy of the string with both leading and trailing character will be removed. For example, if you're saying that empty space, then empty space between the before and after the given string, what are the empty characters that will be removed? If you're saying that the yes should be removed from the character, then you can say strip yes. Whatever you have given as a parameter here, that character will be removed from the given string. So we are just removing the empty space. We are just going to remove the empty space. Where? Because we don't know, there may be empty. Do you see the empty space after? Yeah. So we want to remove that empty space. Sometimes empty space will be before the title and sometimes it will be also. We don't just want to remove that empty space. So for that, we are going to use the strip function. Strip function. We're going to use one more function called split function. So what the split function will do? So the split function will just convert. You are familiar with the split function. It will just look for the delimiter and then it will just create, wherever it sees the delimiter, it will create it as a list element. We have already seen the split function when we practiced list data type. So we are going to use that split function where the delimiter is comma. Okay, so this will just get all the header values. That is in the first row, all the header without any empty space, only string will be retrieved through this function and will be saved in the variable called header. Now we are going to iterate through this. Now we are going to iterate through this because we just want to go through these columns and pick Hawaii. We are just interested in Hawaii. What is the problem? Just get the profits, highest profit of Hawaii. So we just want to go through all this column and see which header has the Hawaii. For that, we are going to use the for loop. Okay, iterating for loop. And I don't know whether you're familiar with this enumerate function. What is this enumerate function? So for this, we're going to use a function called enumerate. So what this enumerate will do, it will add a counter and also return the format. For example, if you look at this variable, this is list. If you're going to iterate through this variable, it will just keep the counter and also the verifier. You can say that eat is in the 0 indexing, sleep is in the 1 indexing, repeat is in the 2 indexing. Like that, it will keep the counter for the list element. Okay, So that can be done by enumerate function. Um, most of the programming languages has the enumerator function, enumerate function. So we are just passing this header values, and we're just going to, so what we're doing here, we are just going to iterate through this header values and going to find where we have Hawaii. By using this enumerate function, we have done it. So be familiar with all the read lines, what is strip, what is split, and what is enumerate. Be familiar with all those 4 functions. And now, what we're going to see, we're going to see I is 0, 1, 2, 3. In I, we want to see 0. That means the first row. K is for column. So in column, we want to see Hawaii. So what we are saying, K is for column, right? So if K value, when it equals to Hawaii, Huawei, then when it is equal to Huawei, then we are just going to create an index for that. Let's say the index variable. So the row, that value, the particular column, the indexing will be taken and that will be assigned to the indexing. So we are just interested in the column which has the header Kuwait. Okay, so now we have, it will pick this column automatically. It will just go and see where matching, and it will just pick this column. Now what we have to do, we have to create a list for list for 2 things. One is for dates and the another list is to save all the saved variable. Okay, so we have to create 2 lists. So first list, let's name it as dates. And just initialize it, we are just going to add values to this list. And the another value, shade. We are just initializing these 2 lists. And we are going to say the values. So we are going to iterate through what? The file. What is the file? F is the file. And we are just going to read a line by line. Starting from, we're just interested in, we don't need this. And then what comes after the 1? 0, 1. So after 1, this one. So whatever comes after that, we are interested in that. Okay. Index 1 to end. That means from this to end. So lines 1 to end. Starting from 1 to the last end. Now we're going to fill all that variables. The dates variable is going to get filled with the initial dates, which is nothing but empty. And then we're going to get it from the file. So I already introduced this function, fstrip function. Fstrip function, you're already familiar with that. So we're going to do that. F from the file, strip function. You know what strip function will do? It will just remove the empty space before and after when you don't give any parameter. If you give any parameter, it will remove that given parameter values, given character in that parameter. And the split function, comma, 0 indexing. Just get dates. Why 0 indexing? Because in 0 index, we have dates. And we don't want space. We don't want any other character. Just save it as a list. That's why it is 0 indexing. And then we need to have share should be in the variable empty. And then we have to strip the data. Again, if you look at the share, it is not, it can be handled as string, but it should be handled as floating point number. So we have to convert that into float. Whatever string, that should be converted into float. Now let's read the file. Yeah, read the file, strip whatever comes. That means the space. We are interested only this. Here you can see the empty space before that. So that should be removed. F dot strip and then split, because the strip will create the list, right? So the space, the comma which is created should be removed. So now can you tell me the indexing? Here you can simply say the indexing is 0. But for Hawaii, it should be automated. When you look at that manually, you can say 0, 1, 2. The Hawaii value is 2. But we want to automate it, right? We have automated it here. Wherever we see Hawaii, that indexing value will be saved in where? IDX, right? So you can say IDX. So the dates, which is from the first column, will be saved in the variable dates, and the share of the weight that is saved in the variable share. And now the job is done. Now we are just going to plot everything which is given in dates and share. We are just going to plot it. So now let's use all the things we learned from so far, the MATLAB, whatever functionality that we know, we are just going to plot it. So let's do the, so if you recall the question you can say they want it to be what? Bar chart with red color and x-axis date and y-axis market. So these are the requirements. So we are just going to use a bar chart. How can you use the bar chart? PLT, for normal plotting it is PLOT. But for bar charting, it is bar. And what are the variables? Dates in x-axis. That's what they mentioned. Date should be in x-axis and share should be in y-axis. Share should be in y-axis. And what color they specify? The color is in red. Okay, now let's do the labeling part. So you know, to label the X, you have to use X label. And what we want to label? We want to say, so dates are there in X coordinate. And then Y label. What is there in Y coordinate? Market share in Y coordinate. And then X ticks. Here, you can simply say the X will be the dates, but if you want to do the plotting like this, because if you say it will be crowded, the dates, if you pick it and plot it here, it will be very crowded. So we want to change the orientation. The vertically you want to align it. To vertically align it, you can use a variable called rotation so that it will be aligned vertically. So you can call rotation. Be familiar with all these things. That's why I'm giving it in the practice. Rotation 90 will change that labeling so that it won't be crowded. Okay, so it will be visible. All the dates will be visible in detailed way when it is getting aligned in vertical manner. So next we are going to do the titling. The title is going to be market share. Show function is just, even if you're not using show, it should show up. So the Huawei market dates with that. If you want to change the size, you're familiar with the figure size option, right? You can use the figure size option to make it bigger. Okay. For example, if I want to make it bigger, I can say You can simply pass the figure size parameter and then change the size. So the next problem that we are going to do for January 2018, load all raw data for different brands into Python. Do not input data manually. Based on the raw data, draw a pie chart. Take a screenshot on the result below. Second, what is the second? Who has the longest mark? So now from this, we didn't answer the question. You have to answer the question for the previous problem. What is the answer? From the bar chart, when did Huawei have the largest market share? You can say, look at that, and you can say that in 10th, January 10th, 2018, it has the largest market share. You have to answer it. You have to create a file. You have to say that, answer it. January 18, January 10, 2018, it has the largest market share. Okay, so that's the answer. So now we're going to do the next problem. Raw data, different plan, input the data manually. Based on the raw data, draw a pie chart, take a screenshot of the result. So only for one date. What is the date? January 18. Oh, no, January 1. January 18. Okay, so that's what we are going to give. So for that whole January, what is the profit? We are going to draw that. Okay, so let's get it started. First, we have imported the file, MATLAB import library. So you can simply, we have already imported the file in F variable. That's a separate thing. Import MATLAB library and import the file. And let's read the file. What is the code to read the file? Just feel free to copy and paste from all this file. Read the file. Read the file first, read lines. By using the read lines function that we used. So what the read line function will do, it will just read the file. So file will be saved in the file handler here. And using that file handler, we are reading each line. And each line will be saved as a list element. Now in that list, we are just interested in the first index. And then we are simply, that means the header. We are interested only in the, we are just splitting up the header separately. But we are not interested in the header here. We are interested one column. Give me a minute. We want to see the whole indexing for the January, right? So in that case, leaving that first column, starting from 1, we want to see all the profit for all the companies. So in that case, it should be 1, leaving that first column, starting from 1 to last index. Last index. We're interested in all those things. And then so we are going to iterate as we did with the previous file. We are going to iterate through that. So for K, iteration variable, and while we are iterating through this variable lines. That means each line. Then what we are doing, if the K value, so that means the 0 indexing. The 0 indexing, when it is January 2018, when it is January 2018. Okay, split. parameter, comma. We are simply interested in the first column. And when that one is 18th January. That is the case. We want to keep all those things. The comma. That means for all, leaving that column, leaving that first column, the date value for all companies. We are interested in all companies for the given particular date. That will be saved in the variable value. Okay, now we have the indexing and also the value that we are going to plot. Okay, so we want it as a pie plot. So for the pie plotting, plt dot pie. plt dot pie. So what we want to plot? We want to plot this value. Simply you can say value. Okay, and then let's give some title for that. Then let's give some legend, because if you see, it is too much of values. For each value, we are going to, it will be like a color, different color value. If you recall, plot pie chart, each values will be taken as different color. There are too many columns here. So let's give some legend to differentiate the column values. So the legends are going to be header. Header is nothing but all company shares. And we are just going to use a parameter called bbox underscore 2 customizing that pie chart value. Okay, so then there is a parameter called border x. Let me check the value. I have picked some value for that. Yeah. Let's just give this paid and see how it goes. Value is not defined because it's a temporary parameter inside that. Okay, let me. Okay. So it seems like I have to pass the strip value inside the parameter, because since it is value is only inside the loop, it does not recognize the value. So I'm just copying this whole function and pass it as a pie parameter. If you want the figure to be bigger in size, you can make it bigger. For that, you have to create a parameter. Figure plt dot plot. You have to specify the figure size here. Fig size 10,15. Why it's not big? Okay, let me figure it out. But right now, so the legend, whatever you have given the legend, it gives that what color for each. So that can be done by this parameter pb box to anchor. With that, you can just give color for each column. For the January 18, we are just picking up the value And what is the largest share from that? What is the question? Ask the question. Read the question. Who had the second largest market share? By looking at that, is it Apple or Huawei? Huawei, right? The orange color, right? So you can say this orange color is the largest. So Huawei. So you can simply add that. Second largest. That is the question, right? Market share belongs to Huawei. Or the first, if it is the first, they have asked the first, then you can say the first market share belongs to Apple. Okay, so that is the question. So you can simply add the question. So that you can save it as a PDF file by right clicking, print, save as PDF, submit a PDF file, and also the Jupyter notebook file that goes to the data visualization lab.